Hello, and welcome to the Get Lean and Eat Clean podcast. My name is Brian Grin. I'm a certified health coach, trainer, and author. And this podcast is for middle-aged men and women looking to optimize their health and get their bodies back to what it once was 10 to 15 years ago. I will give you simple, actionable items to get long-term sustainable results. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. All right, welcome to the Get Lean, Eat Clean podcast. My name is Brian Grin. I hope you had a great weekend and listened to my last interview with Dr. Ben Beekman. Really enjoyed the interview with him. He's smart, knowledgeable on all things insulin and regarding fat loss and insulin resistance. So I definitely recommend listening to that one. Really enjoyed that. I'm going to look to do maybe a Q&A with him down the road. That'd be fun. So anyways, definitely listen to that one. Also, before I get into today's topic, I just wanted to let everyone know, this weekend in particular for my family and my wife's mom recently just passed away on Saturday night. So was sort of a tough weekend. It was definitely a big loss for the family. And I guess my message would be just make sure you tell your loved ones that you love them, and don't take these moments for granted with your family and the friends that you hold close. So anyways, it was a tough loss, and she definitely will be missed. And that's part of the reason why I do this podcast, is just to spread the message of health and living an optimal life, because honestly, without our health, what do we really have? So yep. So with that said, I'm going to get into the topic today. I actually think it's a pretty relevant topic because it's winter in Chicago and we are not getting a lot of sun. And the sun we are getting is not going to have the amount of UV rays that we're going to need to get optimal levels of vitamin D. And vitamin D is, you can get your levels checked. I would say at least every, let's just say 4 to 6 months, depending on where you live. But you can get a blood test done. Just ask for it's 25 vitamin D or serum 25. And as far as the correct level of vitamin D, there's sort of a range. Healthy range, I would say, is between 40 to 80 nanograms per milliliter. So that's 40 to 80 nanograms per milliliter. And really, our bodies depend on sunlight to really manufacture vitamin D. So it's an essential hormone, actually, and it regulates cell growth and can prevent a host of illnesses. Some symptoms you could be having if you are deficient in vitamin D, you can be getting sick often, feeling fatigue, having some back pain, even depression. Vitamin D plays a crucial role in calcium absorption and bone metabolism. So also weight gain can happen. Obesity is one risk factor of vitamin D deficiency, and also hair loss. So I think the bottom line is just make sure you get tested, because that's the only foolproof way of knowing whether you are deficient. And, I think what's happened in society and why more and more people are deficient is these cautionary warnings over too much sun, could potentially cause cancer. So people aren't going outside as much. They're covering up, and they're putting SPF sunscreens, that's a whole nother topic, but we'll touch a little bit on that, on their skin from head to toe. And the thing is, there's really no scientific evidence that links regular, just moderate sun exposure to any form of skin cancer. Only excessive sun exposure presents a skin cancer risk. So it's obviously something you want to take seriously. You don't want to overdo it. But there was a study done, University of California researchers believe that simply by increasing vitamin D intake can prevent more than 600,000 cases of colon and breast cancer worldwide. Prevent them. So pretty starking evidence right there that we want to really make sure that we're not becoming vitamin D deficient. Also could cause fibromyalgia. There could be muscle and joint pain, depression. These are some other health complaints that can come from vitamin D deficiency. So manufacturing vitamin D from sunlight only occurs when the UV, the ultraviolet radiation, is greater than 3 on the UV index. So what can affect the UV index, the time of the day that you're getting sun exposure, your skin pigment as well, also your elevation, and then the level of air pollution. All of these can sort of fluctuate depending on where you are, obviously, and you want to make sure that you're getting at least the level 3 UV index. So if I went outside right now in the winter of Chicago, I don't think I could get, I don't even know what the UV index right now is in Chicago, but it's probably less than 3 in the winter. That's for sure. So to promote vitamin D production, you want to make sure that you expose large skin surfaces of the body. So like I would just say this, avoid burning, right? You don't want to burn. But you also want to get exposed and not have that SPF on head to toe, because an SPF of just 8 compromises vitamin D by 90%. SPF of 30 compromises vitamin D of 97% of vitamin D. So, the sunscreen might be doing its job to some degree and avoiding you from getting burned, but I would spend 20 minutes of getting, the large surface areas of your body, like your legs, your back, your chest, and even your arms. And then if you want to put some sunscreen on your face and hands and maybe the back of your neck, places where you might get some burning, then you can do that. But the bottom line is a lot of these sunscreens, there's a lot of junk in them anyways. So make sure you're reading the label. EWG does a good job of telling you which sunscreens that are good and which aren't. But you want to avoid, like, for example, titanium. I could go through the whole ingredient list and tell you one or two bad things about each of them. But, one of them's called titanium dioxide, and that's a known carcinogen. Something called oxyl methyl cyanamate, try saying that 20 times, OMC, is a chemical contained in 90% of sunscreen products and could damage living tissue just by penetrating the skin. So I think the bottom line is you want to make sure you get sun exposure. And if you're not, you might have to supplement. And we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. So can you over supplement? Yes. Can you get too much vitamin D? Yes, but I think it's very rare. So what can you do to make sure that you're getting vitamin D? The first and foremost, sun exposure, nothing compares to that. Like in the winter months when UV intensity is low, then you can bring in some supplementation. Or you can try to find foods like for example, I'll just give you a list of some foods that have a decent amount of vitamin D in. Although it is more difficult to get through foods, wild salmon, mackerel, herring, which I love, which I've been actually if you listen to the podcast, I've been having that sometimes to break a fast. Mackerel and herring combined, catfish, which I can say I don't think I've ever had, cod liver oil, and eggs, which I love. And those will get you about 200 to 1,000 IUs for a typical serving. But the bottom line, it's not nearly enough a lot of times, and you might have to look at supplementation. Now, there's one company and that I've worked with a long time, and I use a lot of their supplements. It's called Isotonix. I'll put a link in the show notes if you want to check it out. And they make a vitamin D. I'll show you for watching on YouTube. They make a vitamin D with K2. You want to make sure that you're getting a quality supplement, whether it's this one from Isotonix, which I have a partnership with. I've been using their stuff for over 10 years. So I'll put a link in the show notes for that. I love it because it's in a powder form. You mix it with water and you drink it, and your body doesn't have to break down any type of pill or capsule. So you're getting better absorption than you would of a typical, let's just say, pill or capsule. So it's going straight to the body, to the small intestine for absorption. So yeah, definitely a big fan of that. So yeah, make sure you're getting quality supplements, especially if you are in the winter time and you're not getting good UV rays, which in Chicago, even though we've had some good sun, It's not like the middle of summer here where we're getting UV index of 7, 8, 9. So the bottom line is, let's get our levels checked, and don't be afraid of the sun. Just avoid over exposure so you're not getting burnt. But it's something to take seriously, and especially depending on your skin pigment and location and where you're living, you really want to make sure that you wrap your arms around making sure that you get tested. So I probably said that 4 times, but anyways, that's all I want to talk about today. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I hope you're enjoying. If there's a topic you want me to talk about, just email me, brian@briangrin.com. Would love to answer your question and maybe even make a little micro podcast of it. So enjoy your loved ones and enjoy the rest of your day. Happy Tuesday. And I look forward to talking with you down the line. Thanks so much. Hey, Get Lean, Eat Clean Nation. Are you a man between the ages of 40 and 60 years old, looking to lose inches around your waist, have significantly more energy throughout the day, and gain muscle, all while minimizing the risk of injuries? Well, I'm looking for 3 to 5 people to work one-on-one with in my Fat Burner Blueprint Signature Program, which I've developed by utilizing my 15 years experience in the health and fitness space. This program is designed specifically for those committed to making serious progress towards their health goals over the next 6 months. We will focus on sleep, stress, nutrition, meal timing, and building lean muscle. If this sounds like a fit for you, email me at brian@briangrin.com with the subject line Blueprint. That's brian@briangrin.com with the subject line Blueprint. Thanks for listening to the Get Lean, Eat Clean podcast. I understand there are millions of other podcasts out there, and you've chosen to listen to mine, and I appreciate that. Check out the show notes at briangrin.com for everything that was mentioned in this episode. Feel free to subscribe to the podcast and share it with a friend or family member that's looking to get their body back to what it once was. Thanks again, and have a great day.